All right, we're gonna call the executive committee meeting to order. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. How about the minutes of our February 11th? Motion on it.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Discussion on the minutes? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Carries.
Aye.
Anyone has any conflicts of interest on anything on our agenda, just let us know when we get to that item.
There's something for the other place, cheap enough.
Yep. Got John under control.
Yeah, that's just like that. You might want to let them know we can hear them.
Yep.
Morning, John.
Morning, John.
Top of the morning. I hear you loud and clear.
All right, we can hear anything you say there. We can hear too.
Okay, dead more.
All right, are there any public comments? Anyone's aware of? No?
No public comment.
All right. Don't see any supervisors here that aren't committee members unless someone's on that wants to give us some information.
There's not.
All right, John, you got a short update for us on your legislative session?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was it was 3.5 hours, and it was moderated by Dan Barr. And I'd say the first half of the meeting, he went down the governor's budget, and I talked to like Tanya and that, and it's pretty beneficial for Polk County. But what we got to remember is that's just his budget, and you know we got both sides are Republicans. Some will be trimmed and some will be added. And then the whole second half of the meeting, I'd say, was all on cable. Now, there was a resolution for a 2-year moratorium, but there was a couple counties that sponsored that. And then the discussion really got started. And because on the 2-year moratorium, that does discriminate against some of your larger ones that need to expand. That would put that all on hold. So that did not pass. Now, if a recommendation is not passed, it's the same as our county. You know, it can still go to the legislature without a recommendation. But it was pretty strong, I'd say, countywide against passing the 2-year moratorium. And pretty much the reason for that was the same as in our county. They felt like debt cap and all the restrictions that are in place. The larger farms are really pretty much hamstrung with paperwork and with permits and everything. And the big, I thought the big thing on the whole meeting was where years ago groundwater, we got some people that are concerned on groundwater as their main agenda. And what has showed up is, and this was brand new, 3 counties in the southern part, Iowa, Grant, and I believe it was Dane County. They had new water testing countywide, and where they used to think that the main culprit for water pollution was farm runoff, and that it's not. It's home sewer systems and that type of thing. And when you see these pumper trucks, you know they're all spreading in the field someplace. And with the growth in population, it's the country sewer systems and that all goes in the groundwater, and that's taken over as the main contributor, and that's going to increase, and it'll sure happen in Polk County. So that was the main thing, and the exciting thing, I guess. There's new outlets for contamination in the future. Then I've got another one that I'll be where you're going to general government at 10 o'clock. I'll be going to another steering committee live. That's pretty much
All right.
it.
Chris, you got it?
Hey, John,
Yeah.
would you be willing to
still
give
on.
that? Would you be willing to give that same presentation at the county board about your updates
Yeah, I'll
on
be
this?
there. I'll be there Tuesday, and I can even have a little more detail. But that's pretty much the crux.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
All right. What's our update on the assignment of divisional costs resulting from the meth epidemic?
So the sheriff's office presented to Public Safety and Public Works this month. CJCC is presenting in their area, Public Safety and Public Works, in next month. HHS, I'm assuming it's in April because I don't see it on the March draft, is doing a presentation, or CSD is doing a presentation to HHS in April regarding the impacts on public health, the impacts on child protective services and those things. In May, I'll do a presentation to Gigi on the overall resource use of the county. And then in June, we'll look at it in this committee as an overall, right as we get into budget time. How we broke it out.
Any questions, comments on that?
So do we have last year, I think it was, we sent that lobbying resolution to the counties association in regards to meth. Is any committee working on producing a lobbying resolution, this year to potentially go to the state? Because when are they due, Malia or Vince? I think June, July, to the state to see if the counties association would be willing to lobby. They're voted on at the annual meeting, right?
Yeah, I can't remember when that is.
John might know.
John did that last year. Do you remember, Mr. Bonaprise?
John,
What was the
when is
question again?
when is the Wisconsin Counties Association annual meeting? Do you know?
I believe it's in June. I'll find out today, and I'll give you a report on that.
Don't have any specific resolutions recommended yet, but we certainly have time, and I suspect there's enough interest.
Right, and I guess that's my point. It'd be nice to say that we had one. I don't care if there was even 2 or 3 coming from different committees or departments, but in like Health and Human Services, for them to be able to say, here's what we need. Here's what we need in Health and Human Services. Here's what we need from the judicial side of things, the court system, the sheriff's department. Here's what we need in a big picture, because realistically, if it's Polk County or some other county, we're all pretty much in the same boat here and with those needs.
So would we want to do a draft resolution and then each committee work on language specific to their area, or a resolution to go to the full board? I mean, I just don't know the efficacy of doing a piecemeal 2 or 3 resolutions. Are you talking about maybe a comprehensive where each committee looks at language to put into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where it could be, and maybe it all ends up in one resolution at the end of the day, coming to the county board, but something where we could push the ball down the road. Then I also think it'd be nice to see and maybe this doesn't work, but Vince, Malia, maybe Chris as county board chair, Health and Human Services, CJCC, district attorney, judges, sit down and say, what does Polk County need to help combat the drug issue that we have? And everybody work on it together as a big issue rather than the sheriff's department do this, the court side do this, Health and Human Services do this, look at it a big issue, but then I think as a county board member, it'd be very nice if every month when I grab my packet out of my mailbox, if there was a report in there from the sheriff's department that said, we made 30 arrests this month, one a day. From the district attorney's office that said, we prosecuted this many drug offenses this month. Here's what happened, 15 of them were in front of Judge Tolan, 15 of them were in front of Judge Anderson. Here's the results of what, they were. And a breakdown of that every month. That just came, if that came through CJCC or whoever, to be able to say, here's what's going on. So it was always out there, at least to the county board supervisors and the general public, if they wanted to know. I mean, it'd be a public document to say, here's what's happening. Here's, here's how many we're arresting. Here's what's happening. And just, I'll say, keep it on the front burner. So.
Okay, that's a good idea. We can work on
It looks like the annual conference.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, but I think the deadline to get them resolutions in is probably that June or July timeframe.
What, John?
Yeah, our Health and Human Services is a week later this month because it was scheduled for the 9th. So it is Tuesday at 10 o'clock. So if you got anything that you want to make a note for me, you can sure do that. I'll be there Tuesday morning.
Mr. Chair, I just checked with Tanya. She's got it slated for April for her presentation to HHS.
One question, Chair. Just watching, and I don't know enough about it, John probably has more input, but to me, it may have better success if we would have multiple resolutions coming from us on our needs, because it seems like every county has a different issue. And if you make it too big of a resolution, some counties might say that part doesn't work for us, we're out, we're not going to support it. But if the county, I've noticed in those recommendations that the WCA does, there's counties in there that have 5, 6, 7, 8 resolutions that they're pushing through the county. And, there's some counties don't have any. We did one last year. So strategy may be better off to not look at it as a piecemeal, but look at it as, a strong health department resolution, a strong law enforcement resolution, a strong, whatever, just, so maybe there might be a little more buy-in on one, and maybe they don't want to buy in on all 3 or 4 ideas. So just the thought.
No, I agree with that, because sometimes you make it too big, it becomes too big for everybody. Where if it's just a Health and Human Services issue or just a law enforcement issue, it's just that portion, and I think you get a better buy-in from everybody. The smaller the scope
The
is.
simpler the resolutions, it seems like, the more successful they've been. But and I agree too with Supervisor Olson. To have a monthly, call it a report card. Yeah, report card, or the stats. Kind of the, hey, here's what we're doing, and whatever divisions you guys can track easy. And maybe that would give us an opportunity to drill down to more stats, and more information in one piece, but keep it very simple. It's like how many touchdowns, how many field goals, how many turnovers. I mean, if you keep it that kind of an idea, and then if we really want to dig into, hey, where are all the turnovers? If that's the issue a team's having, that we have a lot of turnovers or we're not getting the wins, well, then we can dig into, why is that? And I think keeping it very high level to begin with. I support Supervisor Olson 100% on having a monthly report card, and maybe that is that a CJCC job that's who we would be directing them to give them that task? Or who gets the task to collect that data and get us to say, yeah, that's how we like it? Because we may not, I probably want to see it different than somebody else wants to see it. Administrator, do you?
I would think CJCC being the coordinator role in this would be a good source to collect that.
Yeah, we'll take that. I'll look at it through CJCC. It would be through us in some shape.
Through us means CJCC or you?
Well, yeah, I mean, CJCC is my department, so yeah.
I'm just wondering who the contact person is, as you work through this idea, who do we go to say, hey, that's great information, but it's not quite what we were looking for?
Off the top of my head, it would be the coordinator, but the CJCC coordinator just on board and has a lot on their plate. So it'll probably be me working with her initially, take some of it off of her. She's got an awful lot on her right now.
So I know
In the long term on recurring, once we had the format down, it would be her because she's going to pull that data together.
okay, but to develop
I think I'll just help her out where I can. And
got plenty of time.
well, I mean, there are other resources in the sheriff's office. There's resources. I'll help her facilitate.
So is that something is this going to be a hot potato, or is this going to be, yeah, I walk into these office and say, here's what I want, the judge side of it, or whether it's the judge or.
I don't think it'll be a hot potato. It's just going to be a matter of figuring out what data works and how to present it and how to pull the data out. I think we can get it done.
That's easy to do.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding the data. So,
You're not worried about buy-in on this idea of generating this monthly report card.
I think small conversations go a long way, and it's just a few small conversations. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, nice, Chad. Thank you.
All right, how about an update on Nrwtc Sports Ag Complex?
Yeah, as you know, we've been extending some outreach out to different organizations. Last month spoke with the EDC. This month actually next month I'll be meeting with the Polk County Towns Association to discuss it, as well as I've talked with Mr. Warrendahl about having a discussion with the Fair Society. We have met with a construction company that has done these types of projects before, and it's one of these projects that is new for us. We're learning every time we talk to these people about here's what you don't know. So now we're going to kind of start speeding up the process that we have our planner, Tim Anderson, and then Bob Kazmierski, his supervisor, are putting together a timeline and a process. I think this time next month we'll have a timeline for you as to the next steps in terms of what needs to be done to give information to you all so that the board can then make decisions as to whether they want to continue to proceed.
Will you do that again at our county board? Give us an update so all the supervisors hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Comments?
I'm good.
All right, what do we got next? Discussion regarding the working relationship with Polk County Tourism.
I can bring that up. You remember last month I wrote a letter to the Tourism Council, and I believe Vince has asked William to attend the meeting. So, the concern was when we saw there was a meeting held on the I don't know the exact. It's a non-motorized trail. It's a commission the governor has. They're appointed individuals by the governor. They're all on there. There's about 10 members or so on there. And when we saw in the draft minutes, staff saw it, and I researched it, that this organization was actually on their agenda, the Stour Trail. And I believe it was right after our county board voted on the master plan. So then we see the draft minutes of their meeting, and there was a motion made by William Johnson, who's the president of our tourism. There was a motion made by him to have the DNR withdraw the MOU, and I don't remember the exact language of the MOU or the motion, but it was in the sense of, hey, we're first they talked about it was on the agenda, and we didn't know it was on the agenda, the county, so that was a concern. And then the president of the Tourism Council, and when you look at our MOU with them, they're supposed to be promoting our county policy in tourism, right? So now the president of the Tourism Council, who we fund a big portion of their funding, we have an MOU with them, is actually, after our county board passes policy, it felt like they're undermining county policy. The president, even though he's acting as a separate individual, he's not a public guy, not on the county board, he's not elected, but clearly having him past county board chair, being on the county board for all these years, understanding policy, understanding the MOU process, understanding the funding, I think everyone felt like it was a little bit like, okay, so what do we do about that? What discussion should we have with tourism? It just felt like a little slam. And so that's why the letter got generated. And I think it's the point of is never heard back from them after we wrote the letter. So no phone calls, no correspondence. Hey, got the letter. So I asked for it to be discussed publicly now because it may influence the way we do business with tourism in the future if we can't count on them to be promoting county policy.
So kind of the issue is that Polk County Tourism, an individual there, president of it, made the motion to ask the DNR to withdraw
Correct.
their MOU.
Did not pass.
Yeah, right, it didn't pass.
Didn't pass.
But which is a big part of tourism in Polk County.
Well, the Stour Trail is a huge issue, and we've been talking about it for 15 years.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, is the tourism going to support the Stour Trail? Because clearly the president doesn't support it, of tourism. And we pay them, and I'm guessing he gets paid from tourism, so whether it's per diems or whatever, and they're going out promoting Polk County, policies and our parks and trails, and it just caught everyone off guard. And I guess that's the main thing. It caught everyone a little off guard that we wouldn't think that the president of tourism would be actually out there lobbying, other state agencies to shut down our policy. Seems like it's an ethics issue, a conflict of interest issue. It's an ethics issue. It seems like it's a big ethics issue. For me, it does. There's a lot of county policy I don't like, but I'm not out there trying to undermine it. You don't like it, try to change it. You change it here. This discussion's been going on for years, and never once, I believe, William was on record coming to us, talking to us, or engaging us about this or that. But then yet when we pass it, then he goes to the state on this. And he just recently got put on it last year. He's only been on it for about 3 or 4 meetings. So it's a brand new position he was just put there for. And certainly I know he's very capable of promoting silent sports, and he's been an advocate for that user group in the county, which is good to have someone locally on that committee. But I just don't think you should be undermining our policy because you don't like equestrian or you don't like snowmobiles on your trail. Well, that's that area. So that's why it's on the agenda. And I'm sure William would like to maybe make some comments. I know Vince invited him, but that's why it's on the agenda. I'm not here to propose any action being taken today. It was just more information on why the letter was written and to try to get a response back from tourism on, are they promoting all our activities in Polk County?
William, did you want to respond?
Interesting.
Can't hear you, William.
Okay.
I'm unmuted.
Muted?
He is unmuted, but you can barely hear his voice.
Yeah,
Someone's volume.
he's not muted.
Is that something on your end? I'm speaking really loudly.
Just a minute, William, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, we're having trouble hearing you.
We can hear you, but it's very soft.
Do you have any way of increasing it on your end?
We got our volume all the way up.
Johnny's coming in fine, so.
I can hear him.
Well, do you want to just try it and see?
Yeah, let's try it right there. That sounds, we can barely hear you, but we can hear you now.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to accept it. There's kind of two issues here. I think I'm going to split them just from my comments on it. The first one being the Tourism Council, and the second one my involvement with the Nrwtc. First of all, promoting Polk County and the tourism part of it.
Hey, I gotta be honest. You're gonna have to lean right into the mic, William. We can't hear you.
Go ahead and try and call in.
How about Colin, William?
Yeah, have him call in, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And as soon as he gets on, we'll just bring him back.
William, on your invite, can you copy down
Right. It's on the invite.
yeah, it's on the invite, the phone number, you should be able to call in.
Get back to that screen. I'll try that.
This is the quietest the conference has ever been. Are we still live, Mr. Chair?
We are.
We are
Oh, yeah.
calling in now, I'm just waiting for him to show up. There he is, hold on. William, can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
Okay, there's quite a
Very
delay
good.
on it, so it might be kind of hard to talk over, but let me go back to that screen. And let me shut my volume off on my computer thing here. There, that gets rid of the volume for me. Okay, back to what I started with. Thank the committee for the opportunity to make a few comments on tourism and the Nrwtc. I'm going to split those into two things because they're kind of two separate discussions the way I see it at this point. The first thing is, how do we promote Polk County from the Tourism Council? And actually, it's always been our policy to promote everything that goes on in Polk County, whatever decisions the county makes on stuff. And you have to remember, we promote more than just things that the county board is involved with. You know, we have church groups, villages, municipalities, events all over the county, secular, non-secular, everything you can imagine. You know, the county and the recreation is just a piece of it. So we've always had that philosophy of promoting as much of Polk County, and whatever is going on is what we promote. If trail uses are changed, we will promote to whatever the trail uses are changed to. That's just, we don't want to be an advocate for one thing or another. Basically, we just promote what's here, and we try to geographically promote the whole county. And just as an example of we've just now been working on our campaign for over the summer and into next fall for advertising. And if you're familiar with a publication called Outdoor Wisconsin, I believe it is. It's a kind of a newsprint kind of thing that you see it in every sporting goods store, every snowmobile dealership, every bait shop, everything involved with those sorts of stuff. They print 100,000 copies of it. It goes out every 2 months. So the spring issue for that, we've already reserved space for this. We've generated most of the advertising that's going into this one. The first issue that we're coming out with, and I think it's May and June or 2 months like that, is with a fishing theme. The one for later this fall or later this summer into the fall is an ATV trail theme, and the one for this winter is a snowmobile theme. So those are the things we're doing. Like I say, that's 100,000 publication all over the state of goes all over the state of Wisconsin, into Illinois, Minnesota, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So that's part of the promotion plan we've got. And what we're planning on doing this year, as part of the agreement that we have with the Tourism Council in Polk County, and Vince and Malia were both in on drafting this. You know, they're looking for, the county is looking for a little better contact on the sorts of activities that we're doing as far as promoting things in Polk County. And what we intend to do is when those publications come out, we'll try to get extra copies to get to the administration. And if we can get a lot of extra copies, we'll make sure members of the board get them. So there'll be a little better information maybe coming out on what kind of promotion we're doing. So I think that we'll just let that go at that. Oh, and back to Chris's comment too, that I receive no compensation for serving on the Polk County Tourism Council. That is strictly a volunteer position, and we figure the members of that organization, you know, if you in a year when we're doing a few trade shows and some of the stuff that we normally have, obviously the last year hasn't been the same. But in a normal year, the members of the council put in about 700 hours of volunteer time to promote Polk County, and we're not compensated for that at all. So I think that maybe we'll just let that go unless there's some questions later about the promotion piece of it. As far as the Nrwtc, Non-Recreation or Non-Motorized Recreation and Transportation Trail Council, that group started in 2011. And it's a gubernatorial appointment, and there was a vacancy last year or a year and a half ago, and I had applied for it, and I ended up being appointed last March to that. And if you go back, if you want to look at it yourself, and Chris talked about looking at it too, but if you just go on the DNR website and put in the search box Nrwtc, it'll go right to the members and all the draft minutes and all those sorts of things that are involved with it. So as far as that group, every month we get a report from the Department of Transportation and the Department of Natural Resources. And the DNR report, Missy Van Landet, who you I think have dealt with, as some of you know from the DNR negotiation stuff, she did the report, and it's always on the agenda that this group hears about changes in master plans that are going on all over the state. And it just at that meeting, it came up about the Stour Trail, and Missy had been talking about that, and Rod Bartlow, the chairman, had put that on the agenda. We also looked at a change in a master plan from the Blue Mountain State Park. Well, there was not a lot of room for discussion on it, and Missy Van Landet also mentioned during her presentation that there had been an offer a formal offer from the city of Amory, and also a formal offer from the Friends of the Stour Seven Lakes Trail, that they wanted to be considered as management partners for the trail. And so in order to get that discussion going a little farther, that was the reason I made that motion to terminate with Polk County and consider the other people that are interested in managing the trail. the motion never got a second. And it was primarily just to get more discussion going, because I think, one of the issues we've dealt with at the Nrwtc is the inconsistency of state trails. You look around the state and you can't hardly find linear trails that go through two different counties that have the same rules, same organization, same structure between the same trail in two counties. And Wisconsin, in the way the operation of Wisconsin's co-management programs like that have just basically led to confusion. So the intent was to have a little discussion maybe about consideration of other partners. The Stour Trail has been maintained by the Friends of the Stour Trail for 10 years or since it opened. Basically all of the maintenance hasn't cost Polk County a nickel in taxpayers' money, at least my understanding on that. They've done at least 90% of the maintenance on it and all the volunteer time and everything they do. So in order to get a look at a little discussion on some of the other management options like that was why I made the motion. It never went anywhere. I don't think anything like that will be back on the agenda. Just we'll be getting reports on master plans as they're changed around the state or are considered or whatever. But like I say, that was pretty much ended discussion. There was a little bit of discussion about it, but without a formal motion to put it on the floor, it was really out of order to get into much more of that. So, and as far as myself being I always seem to get the impression that everybody thinks that I'm strictly a silent sports kind of person, and actually it turns out the reality of it is, the fact-checking piece of it is, my first snowmobile was a 1968 Scorpion, and my family since 1970 has had as many as 5 snowmobiles registered at any given time. I currently have 3 snowmobiles registered. So I have a Gator UTV that I bought from Frontier over at Polk County Business over in Turtle Lake. So, fact checking on a lot of that stuff is kind of how that plays out. So anyway, that's the piece of that's the 2 separate things that Vince asked me to comment on. And I guess if there are any questions, I would certainly take them. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Questions? All right, thank you, William. All right, what do we got next? A discussion and possible action regarding a resolution 0721 county ethics policy for appointed officials. Would like to lead us in that.
So the committee charged Malia and I with developing a draft of an ethics policy for appointed officials, appointed standing and ad hoc committees and boards. We evaluated surrounding and similar counties. We found well-established policies in Kenosha, St. Croix, and Dunn. Using those, we basically cannibalized, for lack of a better word, theirs, deriving portions of theirs that seemed well-established and founded, and developed our proposed resolution, and Malia gave it legal review. And I guess at that point we entertain, what questions does the committee have or anything?
Supervisor Duncanson was the one that was promoting this resolution to be drafted. I don't know if she's available. Is she on anything? Does it have any comments?
I don't see her on, sir.
Well, really all we need to do is get a motion to move it to county board. Get this discussion.
I'll make a motion to send resolution 721 to the county board.
With the
I'll second that.
no recommendation, just get it
Or
there.
just send it to the county board and
Where is that resolution at?
It's in our
back page of the
packet.
Like the last 2 pages.
Oh, okay. What is it basically? Can you tell us what it is?
So the gist of all the policies we found, it primarily deals with pecuniary interest, meaning they can't better themselves, close friends or associates, directly related to their government work.
Financial issues.
Financially, they can't use their government work to better an association that they're associated with, through that position. And then it also, they all addressed disclosure of confidential information to parties that aren't entitled to it based on their government work. I think that's pretty much everything that was in there, wasn't it?
Right, and we kept it narrow to appointed officials that are not also employees of Polk County, because that's governed by ethics policy and personnel policy. So it is just, I think a lot of the other counties combined everything, elected, appointed, officials, and had it all together in one.
Which we have a superseding resolution passed in 2013 for the supervisors. And then we have superseding policy for the employees that was revised last year.
That's good enough for you? All right, we're gonna call the vote on it then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. We have a discussion and possible action regarding review process and policy on resolutions that have significant impact on staff time.
We kind of looked at that, and so we don't know why this keeps coming up on the agenda. I thought we've talked about it several times. I think the last time we spoke about this, we kind of said it's kind of the job of the administrator to assess resolutions and policies and projects and to keep the board informed. My job is to determine if somebody has an idea, who and how many and when can we get it done. So I'm not sure we need to keep talking about this unless you feel there needs to be another layer of bureaucracy there that says we want the staff to also do an economic analysis before we decide to do any policy. Kind of my job.
Or it's gonna happen like it did at last county board, and we're just gonna bring it to the board and say enough.
Enough's enough. Yeah. I think the idea originally just started was, if we had a resolution going out the chute, right? And we're gonna make changes to the resolution like the night we did, when I think it was Supervisor Pritchard amended that resolution or whatever it was, and he said, hey, let's put this in here so we keep working on it, which was fine, and we kept working on it. I think the idea is as supervisors, it'd just be nice for someone to say, hey, if you're going to talk about this resolution and you guys have worked on it, it's before the board, we want you guys to know, everyone signed off on it before, but we just thought, well, would this be Chad's job to say, hey, I'm just going to let you guys know, this is going to consume a lot of staff time, and we don't even know that we can do it quickly. Because we never had those discussions. The resolution comes up, hey, sounds like a great idea, pass it. And no one told us, you guys probably all walked out of the room going, oh boy, or someone's going, oh boy, look what we have to do now. And we're already right here with workload. And last year we ended up saying workload for zoning was here. So what does the county board do? We fund a new position to help zoning because of it being over the top. So it eventually costs us money if we don't know what hole we're going down. So I just wanted to make sure that there was a mechanism in place that allowed staff to tell us, hey, you guys, just so you know, what you guys are preparing to vote on is going to chew up significant staff time. And wait for one of us to say it or go, hey, can you guys do this? Because who doesn't say, yeah, we can do it? I've been here 6 years and I've never heard staff say, yeah, we can't do it. everyone says, yeah, I can do that.
And that's a good example because we did do it and then gave our professional opinion to say, we pretty much run its course. What you're asking us to do is done. So,
But it'd be nice for you to tell us ahead of time instead of afterwards, hey, we are at, because it still caused controversy. It was still a contentious issue. And it almost would be better, that's just me personally. I like to know if I'm putting my workforce into a situation, we can't be successful, we can't get the job done on time, we don't meet expectations, and I gotta hire more people to help finish the job. And the owner I'm working for says, well, if you would have told me it was gonna cost more money and all this time, I wouldn't have had you run down this rabbit hole.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I mean, we can most certainly say this will be minimal staff time. This will be significant staff time. The problem where it gets into where it creates more work to define what that is. The question that's back to us is, okay, so put into dollars, put into hours, what significant is? Because then we're getting into a whole study of what's.
I don't think I'm not
Okay.
asking for that.
And so if there's that middle ground where we can say, middle man, which I think Vince alluded to at one point, if the administrator puts a note in there, this will be, this can be achieved with minimal resource expenditure and staff time. This can be achieved with.
At the time, we're getting
Significant
ready
resources.
to vote on a resolution. A simple comment could be minimal staff time. Or this is gonna take significant staff time. It'd just be nice to have that discussion.
have that discussion and that is, we may not always be accurate. I mean,
That's all right.
at first blush, we don't think it's going to take a lot of time. Then you get into it, you go, oh geez,
Yeah.
come back and tell you.
You might miss the boat once in a while. We're okay with that.
All right, so what did we say
We
we,
copy that. We got that up.
what did we say
I'm typing it out
for
right now.
a while, we won't need to talk about this anymore?
We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Unless
I don't.
we can probably take that item off the agenda. And it probably just keeps getting put back on there because it's. All right, how
Sit around it.
about what's going at the fairgrounds, the MOU, CUP, involvements with City of St. Croix Falls?
Unless Mo has something different, we pretty much, through communicating through Mr. Warndall, I want to go speak to the Fair Society to talk a little bit about the centerpiece complex concept to increase their awareness as to what it could mean for the Fair Society. Nothing obviously is etched in stone, but we're going to talk to them, and I think they are aware that they have not submitted anything back to us with respect to an MOU proposal. And so we just said, let us come talk, because we're not going to spend any more money until we have that MOU. So I should be going to visit them at the end of this month. You don't have anything else, do you, Mo?
No, and there's nothing on their calendar for the next 2 months for any public hearing on the CUP.
All right, any other comments, questions?
So it can come off our, are you thinking we're gonna take it off of our agenda until there's new information? Or just leave it there?
I think leave that on there just so if there is no update, that's fine. If there is,
Yeah.
we can discuss it. Could potentially set a new record for executive board unless we start to really stretch this out here. How about our work plan?
And we updated it last month, and I'm not aware of any changes unless you guys see a change in it.
Anybody want to add anything to the work plan, or is there something needs to be doing?
Are you going to, so are we gonna get a draft of what this, next month? Do you think you'll have something for us then to say, here's this, is that on our work plan then to get this monthly report?
Yeah, I'll add that to the work plan. I've already taken notes of who I need to talk to and what I'm thinking, so.
Is this the right committee for that report every month? That's the other question I have.
Well, let me ask you if the intention of the executive committee was for this to stay on the radar of each committee that it involved, should this report just be going to the county board each month to all board members? And then we could also include it in each committee packet, and if the committee wanted to discuss it, they could. Because I thought the original intention was we wanted to make sure this being 2 of the 4 board's priorities stayed atop everybody's agenda at all times.
I like having the county board, because that updates the public a little more accurate with press and what they're saying is going on in the county.
It would give us a little more time to pull together each month if we had one date, meaning the county board date, in order to get it updated each month. But I can bring the format back to this committee next month if that's what the committee wants.
Maybe that would be good, is let us work on getting the format the way it looks like, hey, the county board supervisors might want to see it. And then when you get that, then go ahead and you got it in committees and everyone's working on it, then certainly it's a recommendation of our committee that this is a good process to work on things. And then we don't need to have it on our agenda every month once we get through that, if it's handled at the county board. Agree with that, Ross?
Yep. Anything else on the work plan? About subject matters for our next meeting? Anything we need to, any committees fighting amongst themselves that we have to referee?
I'm not hearing any problems out there.
Do you think?
Mr. Chair,
What do you got, John?
is there any thing that the executive committee wants me to bring up on the steering committee agenda? 2 of the big things on the agenda is census redistricting and broadband. And then we also have discussion items which we can bring up just about anything. The main issues today is on personnel, finance, and county organization. So maybe Chad wants to have any information on finance, state finance, county finance. So I'll give a full report on this on Tuesday too.
Yeah, that WCA is coming up, right, Johnny?
Correct.
The finance personnel, because I've got it on my calendar to watch.
Yep. And then there's also another steering committee on the 18th, and I'll be live on that, and I don't have that agenda right here, so I'll bring you up to date on that on Tuesday.
One thing I would like to say is, I appreciate John being vice chair of the board, and as much as John is spending time on all these committees, just thanks, John, for filling that role.
It's really interesting. I'm just trying to represent people's ideas. That's what we're all about. And this county steering committee, or the Wisconsin County Steering Committee, is very receptive and open to discussions and getting a full view of the whole state of Wisconsin, which is important. And big evidence on that was the CAFO issues that have been floating around. So I'll keep in touch. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have any subject matters they want on the next agenda? Yes. We don't have any today, but have some before our next meeting. We'll get them on.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 We'll stand adjourned.
Thanks, gentlemen.
9:25.
Can I talk to Chad a minute?